Now, joining me on the phone is NBC's Kasie Hunt. Kasie has been on the scene. Kasie, what's the latest you're seeing?
Good morning, Thomas. Well, it's still chaos here, and first responders are still coming in. We've got 2 helicopters that are circling the scene. We're standing on the corner of 3rd and M Street Southeast in Washington, which is just a few blocks up from the Navy Yard itself, which is at 6th and M Street. I actually just spoke with an eyewitness, or a woman who was in one of the buildings where the shooter was initially this morning. She described to us being in the cafeteria there around 8:20, and she said that she heard 3 quick pops and then 5 more, so a total of 7 or so shots. And she described the situation just of chaos. There was a female security guard who was telling her and others who were there just to get out of the building as fast as they could, and so she ran. And ever since then, we've had some people, I've talked to other eyewitnesses who have friends who are still sheltering in place inside the Navy Yard, while as others obviously have gotten out and are now still, many of them, remain here on the streets. We have a steady rain here, sort of matching the mood of the day with this, tragic unfolding of events with 4 people confirmed dead. There are a litany of law enforcement agencies who are here from across the region, number of federal law enforcement agencies. I'm standing not too far away from a group of ATF agents and one man who's wearing a hat that says NCIS, so it's like a terrible TV show gone terribly wrong.
Kasie, we're getting reports now from WRC that there is one of their reporters just getting off the phone with a law enforcement force who says that they heard gunfire inside the Navy Yard building recently, at least 1, possibly more shots fired. You have not heard anything like that, correct?
We're a little bit too far away, possibly, to hear something like that. We also have these choppers circling overhead, so we weren't able to hear that kind of activity, but the way that law enforcement is sort of postured here hasn't changed at all over the last couple of hours. So our understanding is that this still is active and that it's certainly possible that there have been shots fired recently.
Kasie, as you talk about it still being active and most people heeding that shelter-in-place order, there has been some discussion about whether this is just a lone gunman or potentially multiple assailants. Have you heard anything on the scene about exactly, have they been able to define that is, if there's more than one gunman?
We've been trying to figure that out here on the scene, and it's frankly probably more chaotic where we are than where some of you are making phone calls to try to figure out what's going on inside. We did hear from an MPD spokeswoman who said that they were going to come out and provide us with more information. So far, they haven't been able to do that other than to tell us that it is a very fluid and still active situation.
And as you say, still active situation, are you still seeing emergency and first responder vehicles flying by you, or have they cordoned off the area right now just so that no traffic is getting through?
In fact, I'm being pushed back further than we were before. The emergency vehicles are still moving back and forth. I mean, the whole area is cordoned off, so no outside vehicles or outside pedestrian traffic even are able to come into this area. But there is space for first responders to move back and forth, so you are seeing occasionally police cars going up and down. We saw a Homeland Security vehicle come in. There are still numbers of fire trucks from all of the different engine houses across Washington who are also here. And then we have these 2 helicopters flying over top of the Navy Yard itself. We saw one of those helicopters earlier medevac one of the victims out of the Navy Yard. So we started the day with just 1 helicopter. There are now 2 of them. So this situation really shows no sign of abating at this point.
In case when we talk about the helicopters, they're just circling at this point, right? You said only 1 was a medevac helicopter that had landed and then taken off again?
Both of these helicopters appear to be from the Park Police. They've gotten low enough at different points that we've been able to read the logos on the side. The initial helicopter that did the medevac actually hovered, and we saw it drop a rope or some sort of device down into the Navy Yard and come back up again with something in it, and then that helicopter flew away over a parking lot where we were initially staged right across from the Navy Yard. Since then, you've seen that helicopter sort of dive low down over the Navy Yard. Clearly, it's hard to tell, or it's not possible to know at this point if they're looking for someone, if they were looking for victims, if they were trying to identify the location of the shooter. But they've clearly been hovering down very low to the point that they're involved in whatever is going on the ground. And then a second helicopter has come and is sort of higher up above to the Navy Yard. So you have one that's been making low passes and another that's making wider circles.